Hi, my name's Lyle Sopel, and you're with me in my studio today. And we're going to talk about a few things that I wanted to get to a number of times, but we've asked the question, like, what do you have to give up as an artist? And so we want to answer that. And I want to ask answer a few other questions regarding how do you create a successful vision as an artist, and why can't the 21st century artist be as successful as a Renaissance master? Another great question that's come up is, what's the essential principle that can catapult your career into success? So, first of all, I just want to say that usually you find me in my studio and I'm in my working clothes and I'm doing something with a tool of some sort. But another part of what I do is actually show my work and sell it. And this is another really strong example of what you have to be as an artist, a variety of things. You have to be also a craftsman, an artist, and you have to be able to present yourself to the public in a way that is appealing. So in my studio space, what I have is an upstairs area which I consider to be my gallery. And so when pieces are finished, I'm able to put them into this space, and when we have invited guests, we are able to show them in some manner that they might be seen in their own home or something like that. So this is what we have. Let's just walk around. This is a multi-purpose space, actually. We use it for a variety of things. It's my drawing space and inspirational place. We use it for photography and all kinds of things like that. So, but this is where the pieces come when they're finished. And this piece we were working on last week, and didn't get to see it, but it's another ruby piece, which I showed you one last week, and this is a pear. So I've been really hot on the ruby and working it and getting a real sense of what it is as a stone. And it's a crystal, so it's really something quite different than what Jade is, and it's a completely different feel. So as an artist, I really have to feel my way through stones before I can be like super creative with them. And so that's my thing, is to kind of work through it. And I think this is another successful piece as a ruby piece, but it just took me a little more time to get through it, and found ways to make it the way I wanted it to be. So this is another piece that was in the works, and it's totally finished as well. You saw this last week, the Canada geese, and I think they really worked out really well with a variety of different material, different kinds of jade, actually. There's black jade, green jade, white jade in the head, and the crystal that has the green in it gives it this really nice combination of colors and unifies the whole piece. So along with that, we have a few other pieces that may be familiar, but this is how we display them. And it's nice we have skylights and beautiful natural light in this space, so it's all really great for exhibiting. And so over here we have my drawing table over here as well. You can see that it's set up, and I do a lot of my planning and thinking over there, and I will take you over there and I'll show you how I prepare myself for a sculpture and what I do in order to really get myself into the right space before I create a piece of art. So that's all part of the question here about what do you have to give up as an artist. So you might have to say or think that you have to give up your time. You might have to give up your relationships. You might have to give up your job. You might have to give up your home. You might have to give up all kinds of things. But I don't believe so. I don't believe you have to give up anything to be an artist, except one thing. That one thing is being enough. Mediocrity. Now, you have to be more than just going to work in the day, and like you might have an hourly job where you do the same thing over and over again, and you just show up, and all you have to do is show up and do the same thing over and over again, and then you get paid for it. To be an artist, you can't do that. You can't just show up in your studio and just do nothing. You have to participate. To be an artist, you have to go beyond putting your toe in the water. You have to jump in and swim, and you have to completely be involved in the idea of being an artist and being creative. So I was talking to a friend a while ago, and I think I shared this before, that as an artist, being good is not enough. You have to be amazing to be successful and to be have a strong, continuing career. All your work has to come out amazing. That way you're going to draw attention. So, how do you get to be amazing is the really big thing, and who's going to judge that? Who's going to judge whether your work is good or amazing or anything of that kind? It really has to come from you. It has to come from you as an artist. You have to decide what's good for you. And so, one of the things that you can do is to choose a goal. It's always important to have a goal. So, in a lot of cases, most people don't have goals. They just go through life, and whatever comes towards them, they just go through that and they follow along on a path. But to have success, you need to have a goal, an ideal that you work towards. And when you have an ideal, like say you want to be an amazing artist, you have this ideal about what that is. So you can't go to amazing from where you are. That's impossible. You can't just jump into the future and go to where that amazing idea is. You can only hold it as an ideal in your future. So the way I do it and the way I believe is the only way that is possible is to be who you are today. Knowing that the ideal is in the future, you can only be the best you can be today. You can't be the best you are tomorrow. That's impossible. You can only be the best you are today. And truly, you as an artist is fantastic. You are amazing as an artist. All you have to do is allow yourself to share who you really, really are. And then try to be a little bit better. Not a whole bunch, just a little bit better. And hold that ideal. That way, you'll develop and you'll move up into your ideal of what an amazing artist is. You can't jump. You can't move from here to there without really realizing where you are today. And where you are today is enough. Honestly, if you can be who you are, that's good enough. And make one little incremental step every day, and you'll get there. So, the next question that came up was, what's the essential principles that will catapult your career into being amazing or successful artist? So, when I was going to art school, I remember one of my art instructors saying that, you know, in order to be an artist, you have to be a Renaissance man. And I thought, well, what the heck is a Renaissance man? And then later, I found that, you know, I understood what that meant. And like a Renaissance man is a person that is kind of a jack of all trades, somebody that can do everything and do it well. So when I started my career, I realized that as a sculptor, there were so many things that I had to be good at. You know, I had to be, first of all, an artist. Then I had to be a mechanic because I needed tools and I had to fix my tools. And in the gemstone carving world, you need different kinds of plumbing and things like electricity, so I had to be all those trades. So I realized that along with that, after I completed the pieces and I had the studio, I also had to be a salesman. I had to be out there in the world talking about my art to people, and I had to be able to know what to say it, how to look, how to be, all those kinds of things. So it's this broad spectrum of things that need to be accomplished in order to be successful. So the guiding principle is to really have an overall perspective. If you just focus entirely on producing your work, it won't be enough. You have to move a little bit further away from that. You have to get a view, like an eagle. You fly over your situation and you look down and be able to see all the parts that need to be observed and taken care of. So to do that, you have to regulate your time. You have to be, conscious of what needs to be done. So, I'm with you on all this because this is the kind of thing that I'm challenged with every day. There's all these things that come up every day. There's so many different things. Like, you just think of them in a way that you have to design your own art. You have to produce your own art. You have to maintain an inventory. You have to finance your studio. You have to be a salesman. You have to be an employer if you employ people. You have to know how to photograph. You have to market. You have to buy materials, and you have to be a mechanic, and you have to be all kinds of tradespeople. So that's just what I thought of in about a few minutes. And all of these things are required to be an independent artist with autonomy. And autonomy is the goal. That's what we all want. And it is worth striving for. Being a successful artist with autonomy is everything in the world. There can't be a better job than that. So all of these things are challenged as an artist. And that's why I'm here, really. Sharing my ideas and sharing how I do it. Because I think we all need to be together in some way, as some kind of a community or some way that we can relate to each other and ask these questions so that we know we all share the same struggle and the same way of trying to deal with the world and make our art. So along with that, like I talked about visions and how do you have this vision about being an amazing artist or having a goal? Or so the way that it works is if you are attached to your goal with an emotion, if you really feel confident that your goal is going to be accomplished. So that's very important. When you have the goal, you have to have this attachment towards it. So I wanted to show you some of the drawings that I've created and what my ideas are behind that. So if you can take a look at some of these pieces over here, these things that I've been working on. Now, my drawings are not always finished drawings. Some are. It depends on what I'm doing. But what I'm trying to do when I do a drawing is get to the essence of who I am as an artist. What is it that I'm trying to accomplish here? And that's when the amazing comes out, I think, is I'm always trying to figure out what's the truth about me as an artist. What do I really want to see as a piece? And when I feel really good about it, then I know that's me. That's really where I want to work from. And that's the point that I feel is the amazing part. And then you come up with by sharing or just kind of getting ideas out on a piece of paper, you kind of open yourself up to more possibilities and you free your mind of different things so you can be freer. And when you do a variety of things and you're opening your mind, out of this one idea or this one opening, you can get an amazing idea. It might just strike you that that's it, and you can follow through with it. So you can see there's some variety of things that happen that way. So this is my usual process. I'm, always, striving to open myself to new ideas. Something totally different. So also today I wanted to talk about some of the ideas about, that the 21st century artists can't be as successful as the Renaissance artists. And what I'm asking here is to really consider, what we think of as a myth, that artists have to have, or have to be, sole individuals in their studio. Now, I know that a lot of collectors that buy my art don't want to know that I have people that work for me in the studio. They want me to just be completely independent and work the whole process through on my own. Well, that's not the truth, and it never has been, right? I've been doing this for 40 years, and I've always had assistants in my studio. If it hasn't been one person, it's been up to as many as 12 in my studio. So I've always had somebody to support me in the studio. And somehow there's been this myth that's been developed that in order to be, successful without selling out as an artist, you got to do everything all yourself and right from scratch. Well, you know what? That's really hard. That's really difficult to do. And how do you find time for all those other things that are part of the job of being an artist? So I rely on people that I train and are very high-skilled artists to do this kind of work. So in the Renaissance, to be a master meant that you could take on apprentices. And these apprentices were people that did different parts of the master's work. They didn't just clean the brushes or prepare the canvases. They actually did the paintings in some cases, where they did the major part of the work, and the master might come back later and do some kind of a touch-up or some feature, a part of the piece. So that's how they could be successful. And if they did not have assistants and they did not have those people that helped them produce more art, then we probably wouldn't even know that they existed, because they'd do this one little piece, it would be bought by someone, and it would go into a collection. The rest of the world wouldn't see it. But with an assistant, they can produce more, they can get more variety, more people can see their art. So, you got to bust that myth about having to be independent in a studio. You got to break it up so that you can get out there more. If you can only do one thing at a time, you're not going to get out there into the world. You got to have a few more pieces in the process of presenting yourself. So I really like the idea of having an assistant, and I always have had one. So, what we talked about last week was the 10 myths that we have this email, this book that we can just download for you. And if you haven't got it yet, it's still free to all my Facebook fans. So you can go to globalartsvision.com/Ask Lyle, and you can download that free copy as a Facebook fan, a free copy of 10 Artist Myths. And that'll just keep you conscious about these ideas that are projected on us as artists that really hold us back. I really feel that that's an inhibition that we are pushed on us in some way by society, the outer world, of how they think artists should be, and we should struggle, we should starve, we should give things up. We don't have to do any of that. We have to come back to what's really important to us and what we need to do to be more successful. So one more thing I wanted to talk about, and that is that marketing idea, that idea that we were talking about a number of times now. For us, we're doing this bear sculpture grouping, and we're going to do a promotion on that. So last week we talked about the idea of where did the idea come from? How do you generate a good idea, and how do you do it without selling out, or how do you do it in a way that's true and honest? And so we talked about that. So the next thing is, how do you build a list? Like when you have your idea and you're going to do your promotions, who do you show it to? Who are these people that are going to be your clients? Well, you know, the big thing is when someone buys your art, they'll never forget you. This is a fact. This is truth. That when you have one client that has your art, they're going to keep it in their home, around their life, and they're always going to look at it and they'll remember you. You might forget them, but they're always going to remember you because it's in their life. And they'll show it to their friends whenever their friends come over, so they're all going to know you're the artist of that piece. So that's something really important to remember when you're trying to build a list, that the people that have bought your art really love what you do. And you just need to continue to relate to them in some way so that they have a channel to you. They want to be able to relate to you. They want to be open and have an easy communication in some way. They want to know what you're doing. That's true. So they want a relationship, really. So, you know, it's important to keep this list. You know, you have to, you know, keep an invoice, and you have to keep all the information. You collect these people's names and all their pertinent information, their phone numbers, emails, and all that kind of stuff. You need to do it on an email, on an invoice in some professional manner. But you can also get names from people that really appreciate your work. You can even go to your grandmother. You know, your grandmother loves your work. Keep your grandmother on the list. She'd love to hear how you're doing. That kind of person, you know, your family members, anybody that has anything to do with you in some way, you can put them on your list. So you can start building from somewhere. So first of all, clients that have purchased, and then people around you that you relate to well and love your art, put them on the list. Whenever you go to like community art shows, or you show your work in some public place and you collect business cards, put those people on your list. But you gotta make a list. You gotta do this intentional thing and keep a list. And when you get a list, you can use a mail program. Now, this is the modern world, so you can use things like MailChimp, or you can use another program like that we use. It's called Constant Contact. And in these programs, you can put all the pertinent information of these people into the list. And you can do a newsletter, you can do some kind of announcement, and all you have to do is write it up once and hit send. And all of these people on your list will get the same message. That's a really nice, easy way to continue to communicate with people. And it really works for us. It's great. It's a great way to communicate. And you can do this in elaborate ways any way you like, but that's the basics. That's how you get people to really relate to you and keep a relationship happening. So, very important. That's another aspect of the marketing strategy, and building a list is primary. So, next week we're going to talk a little bit about marketing that list, or marketing to that list, the kinds of things you can do, and how you can prepare your group of clients to get ready to see the next group of pieces that you're preparing. So you set up some kind of anticipation for this new thing that's about to happen. So that's another big part of this. So as you can see, it's not just a straightforward one-time thing. You got to build a strategy. So you have to understand what you're going to do, and have your list, and you build a strategy about how you're going to introduce it to these people. Okay, so we're going to talk about that not tomorrow, but next week. And so let's see if there's anything else I have forgotten. I hope not. So thanks for being with me today. And I look forward to hearing from any of you that want to share your amazing ideas. Oh, there's one thing that I'd like to just put out there to you, that I am looking for an assistant in my studio. Yes, I'm looking for somebody that can work with me in my studio. So if you want to go to the Canadian Alliance webpage, is where we have our employment offering, and look under jobs and under Lyle Sopel Studio. There will be a prerequisite set of things that I'm looking for there. And I don't want to get into it right now, but if you would like to work with me in my studio, I'm looking for one assistant that could help me in the studio. And this space the job's available coming up pretty soon, in a month or so. So don't phone me, because it's not going to help get any more influence in this position. I'd like you to follow the rules in relationship to the Canadian Alliance job postings, and it's under Lyle Sopel Studio. So thanks, and thanks for being with me today. Be an amazing artist.